Okay. Now, we've heard from Mr. Noriega before. He's a great speaker with a rich history. He's certificates in language arts, Spanish, English as a second language, math, science, and has facilitated insight into the intricacies of the system and solutions outside of mainstream education. He has full credentials in several states, including Florida, Nevada, Utah, and California, and he's the author of Prisoner of Paradise, and if it's broken, don't fix it. Let's welcome back Mr. Noriega.
Thank you, my fellow patriots. It's good to see you again. It's been a couple of years since I've been here, and last time I was here, I believe we were under extreme difficulties and extreme panic because of what was happening in our nation. It was a time when the Obama administration was taking away our rights, as we remember, just about every weekend. We can turn around and with a new position of Congress, with a new position of the White House, we saw one more liberty being taken away from the American public and given over to a place where it didn't belong, even into the hands of the United Nations. We cringed grimly at those dim times, and we prayed for some kind of release, some kind of salvation to come that would take us away from that time. And many of us saw the coming of the new administration as a sigh of relief, which it is anyway. But I'm here to tell you that the moment of extreme terror has not left. In fact, it is worse than ever. Now, I'm going to explain to you that in a second. But I'm going to explain to you also the position that I'm in. A little bit about myself. Some of you know me already. I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for over 15 years. I've been doing sports, this kind of thing, and then I got my full credential at Weber State University. And again, I'm certified in many different subjects: English, Spanish, math, and a few others. Certified in different states. This being one of them: Utah, Arizona, etc. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to delve into what was happening in America, specifically with the education system. And so I wanted to delve in and not only be the isolated teacher in an isolated classroom somewhere in America, I wanted to be that teacher in every town in America to discover if this was an isolated incident or it was a phenomena that was happening nationwide and how it connected really to what was happening with our freedoms. So that's where I started. I started as an average Joe, a teacher, thinking what's going on in the world, what's happening with our nation, and what do we do, or can we do anything to fix it? And that's where a lot of you started. A lot of you started with, we don't know what's going on, but we know something evil is going on. And really that's the word for it, isn't it? Evil. Because we can't call it anything else. We can't call it the opposing party's view. We can't call it another ideal from a different perspective. We can only call evil what it is. Let me tell you what is evil, because evil opposes good. Goodness came with our forefathers who established this country, set it to be at liberty under God, gave us the liberties, or rather acknowledged the liberties that weren't theirs to give in the first place, as it were God's to give to us. They acknowledged those and they said, this country is to welcome everybody. Evil is anything that opposes that. Evil are those men that not only seek to take away your freedoms, but are so intricately dark, for lack of a better word, that they want to destroy your country. Well, they don't want to take it over. They hate your country. They want to destroy it. And so they have come up with a master plan to do so. Now, I'm talking about other things, and you're saying, well, how does that have to do with education, Mr. Noriega? Last time I was here, I explained that if this was all about education, I wouldn't be doing this. In fact, I wouldn't have even written a book about it, because there would be no purpose to it. There would be just another educational book that goes out there. But when I discovered the root behind the takeover of education and the reason for it, the reason being the takeover of America and the rights and freedoms that we have that started with the Common Core, then I realized this was much bigger than me and you. This meant that if we allowed this to continue on, America would be lost. America would be lost. So where are we today? I talked about the Common Core last time and explained to you what the Common Core was. The Common Core is simply built and was built, the sole design of it, with the Obama administration backing it up, again, Obama being the puppet of this greater scheme of evil people, created, what was it created for? What was the purpose? Well, I explained to you last time that the whole sole purpose of Common Core was to take over the government by being the first national law. In other words, the whole United States coming from Congress to you, but bypassing Congress. In other words, setting up a regime that tells you what to do. The whole purpose of Common Core that succeeded, by the way, was to be able to bypass Congress, to bypass the system that your forefathers, my forefathers, set up, that they died for, that they bled for, that they fought for. They fought for a system of checks and balances that the Common Core destroyed. That's right, the Common Core actually succeeded. Now, the whole point about it was, once we got the Common Core in, once the Common Core took over, which that was long ago, that was very long ago, once the Common Core took over, it set precedents for the president to be able to bypass Congress again. And he did. He called it Obamacare. That should give you some shivers. You see, Obamacare was the sole purpose for Common Core. I explained this 2 years ago that once Common Core took over and Obamacare was able to take over in the exact same fashion as Common Core had, once Obamacare passed and actually bypassed Congress by these little executive commands that are dictator imposed on the country, once that bypassed Congress once again and set the new Obamacare, it was now an influx of trillions of dollars into this new regime. Now, maybe I'm going too fast on this particular little subject, but think about it. What's our national debt at? Trillions, okay. How much does the insurance field take in yearly? Trillions. Same number, trillions and trillions. So if you imagine if a new regime taking over the government can bring in a whole new system, Obamacare, that brings in trillions, who funds the government? Who funds it? Well, yeah, okay, you do, but you give the power to, not the president, Congress. Congress tells the president, you get money, don't they? Well, what if the president is able to bypass Congress and create an Obamacare that is influxing trillions of dollars? Guess who loses their power? Congress. Do you remember that time when the president was on the air and he commanded Congress that you can no longer vote up or down? You remember that? And do you remember when Congress agreed? If you do not think, if you do not believe for 1 second that Congress has been taken over, just think about it. Okay, no, Mr. Narita, that can't be. We still have a 3-tier system. Okay, if you don't believe so, wait a minute. Don't we have a Republican Congress? Don't we have? I mean, last time looked, before the Obama administration was gone, didn't we win Republicans? Yeah, I mean, wait a minute. Let me look around. Didn't we? So, why is it so hard for a Republican president to work with his Congress? Why are they trying to knock down everything that he is trying to erase that Obama did? And if you think about it, what did President Trump, what was his first thing that he tried to do? First thing, take down Obamacare. You see what I was getting at? And I know this is going to sound eerie. It's going to sound like an L. Tolkien's, all right, J.R. Tolkien's novel. But you know what? That's exactly what's happening. Every single facet of the government, every single facet, from the White House to the judicial system, to the courts, to the Congress, every single person involved in politics in some way today has signed, not just signed over, I'll support you. They've signed up their souls. You don't think this is a fight between good and evil? Why do you think so many congressmen resigned when this little switchover was happening? They resigned because hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to betray the Constitution. And they resigned. And the rest of them that stayed on, you started asking questions like, wait a minute, why are they voting that? Why aren't they supposed to be conservative? Why are they doing that? And then you saw President Trump win. Now, last time I was here, I'm going to talk about Trump in a second, but last time I was here, I said something, and this is why I'm here again. This might be the last time I'm here, because it might be the last time you and I, to make a difference before it gets ugly. This is how serious it is. I'm not making any money on this. I give more books away for free than I make paying, than I get sold books. This is how important this is. This isn't a moneymaker. This is the Constitution of the United States. This is the future of my child. So last time I was here, I said there is a small window of opportunity, people, fellow Americans, fellow patriots. We need to defeat the Common Core. We need to defeat Obamacare. We need to stop this right now. How do we do it? We fire those bums that have signed their names in blood. We don't deal, a lot of you remember what I said, we don't deal with a snake. Do you remember that? You don't deal, a snake is not your friend. You don't make deals, negotiations, hey, no, a snake's gonna bite you. Snake is a snake. By nature that it is evil, it will bite you. It's like the Garden of Eden, right? You're not going to deal with the snake. The snake is the bad guy, people. You do not negotiate with snakes. I said get rid of them. This has been my message, and then I stopped because the window was closed. The window was closed, and I went to Hawaii to wait for the inevitable, the scripted, what was coming. And then a miracle happened. And now I'm going to talk about Trump. I was on my knees, and I wasn't going to pray for Trump. Forget it. Because it's already said. I told you guys it was already said last time I was here. I said, Hillary's going to win. It's not a matter of who's going to, that's what's been scripted. And I'm going to tell you something personal. I don't talk religion a lot. But something personal was I actually got on my knees. And I, as a Christian, wasn't going to pray for the country to vote for Trump because it wasn't going to happen. Already the robbers had everything in place. I was privy, aware, with my own eyes of the schemes that were going on. Remember, I study this stuff. I research it. I go around the country. I see what's going on. I already saw the corruption. And so I knew there was no way. And then call it revelation, or call it what you may, while my prayer of not praying for the president in that time of woe and the new administration is going to come in and destroy us all, because that's what it was set up for to do. I heard, as it were, the voices of the people praying. voices. And it was as if God himself was saying, I'm answering their voices. I'm going to give them an opportunity. And then I believed. And so I'm here with my new message. We have a new window of opportunity. Put on, you may be Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, LDS like myself. It doesn't matter. Put on your armor of God. Because if you don't, this opportunity that has been granted you will be gone. Now, you don't believe me that it was already set in motion? Let me take you back to election night. Let's just go back. Election night. You don't think the news is scripted, do you? You don't think the news is scripted? You don't think Obama took over everything that was news in the first year? Because that's what you do when you take over a country. You take over the media. You don't think that the news people had a script of who was going to win? Let me cast your mind back at election night then, when the numbers started coming in, and they had their cheats and their computer programs that were bringing in Hillary's name, and it was already set up. And then something strange happened. Wait a minute. And then did you see their face? When the inevitable, and they waited so long, this is what happened to them. They froze. And they didn't say anything for over a minute. Some of you recorded it. Because they didn't have a script. It was unscripted. It was impossible for Trump to win. It was not in the script. You don't believe me? You didn't stay up like me all night long waiting for the final count? When have you ever heard of a presidential election where the news doesn't report the final count? They gave up in the middle of the night. They said, well, we're not going to count anymore. Trump won, whatever. The most important news of the entire country, new president, and they're not even willing to tell us what the final count is. Have you ever heard of that happening? I mean, I've never seen that. I've never heard about that in ancient times. It's never happened. If you don't believe this was scripted and a miracle that saved us from, destruction, destruction. Because this regime, talking about Obama and all the abominations that followed, everything, Congress that's now, everybody in government, down to principals, down to everyone is involved and has been sold out. This is how deep we are. We are in a situation where everybody is so sold out that you can't even speak. You don't believe me? On my first day on the job, the kids were all messed up, manipulated, riled up against Trump. And they were talking about Trump being so stupid and ignorant, and all the teachers. And I said simply this to my classroom: whoa, children, whoa. Let's not disrespect the president. First of all, he's the president, so we owe him respect no matter what your views are. Second of all, this man is not somebody that is stupid. This man is definitely a genius, at least in finances. So I believe he'll probably, at least, the very least he could do is help our economy. I mean, sounds logical, right? Even if I wasn't for Trump, I've got to say, okay, no, yeah, you're right. You know what happened? You won't guess. I was called into the principal's office. No, I'm serious. I was called into the principal's office, reported by my observant students. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? Some of you that studied Nazism understand where this comes from. They reported on me promptly as good students. And I came into a meeting with the administrators. They were all there. And they informed me that although we have freedom of speech, this kind of thing is not allowed in our school district. In fact, Mr. Noriega, if you look at your contract, this is not allowed. So you mean to tell me that in the cafeteria, in a school, in my classroom, they can talk all they want against Trump, pro-lesbian and gayism. They can talk anything they want about anti-guns and abortion and everything that is wrong in the world. But if you want to say the president is smart, that's not allowed in our school district. Well, you got to give equal time, Mr. Noriega. If you're going to do such a tyrannous thing, you got to bring in somebody of the opposing party to talk. Don't the students already have that day after day after day after day? Aren't they being brainwashed day after day after day? I don't need to bring anybody in, and besides, I'm not campaigning from Trump. I'm simply saying he's smart, and let's respect the guy. But no. My freedom of speech. If you don't believe that every single facet of the government has been taken over, if you believe there's still a free media, ask yourself this. When was the last time you saw a newspaper, neutral, call the president a liar? Call the president a liar? Trump lies again. Am I making this up? Or do you read it every day? This is what they say. Trump lies again. Imagine if we did that with Obama. Obama lies again. Well, wait a minute. First of all, somebody did complain against Obama one time. What happened to them? They got fired, right? They got fired the same day. They apologized. Oh, I'm sorry. They got fired. It was incredible with his regime, right? You did anything and you were fired, you were dismissed, you were let go. Now, it's quite the opposite. It's quite the opposite because we have a president that is trying to get rid of the very first thing, Obamacare, and we have a Congress that is not only not helping, opposing. Not only not helping, but what's the reason that they want to oppose? To bring in immigrants from Muslim countries? And then they come over, and I'm not talking about refugees, because there's a difference between a refugee. A refugee comes over, yes, okay, they're a Christian refugee, or they're from this other religion, or whatever, but whatever. Those are refugees. We owe them. We, as Christians, need to help them out. I'm talking about, let's bring all of these people over that are raping, killing, and plundering, and we're going to oppose that. We're going to oppose. Okay, so what's the reason again, Congress, that we're doing that? What's the reason? It stresses me out. This is why I'm doing this. Let's talk about this window of opportunity that we have, because I want to paint a perspective of what's happening. Remember, our founding fathers created a three-tier system, right? Executive, judicial, and legislative. Now, which one makes laws? Really? Because last I heard, the courts commanded the country to have gay marriage. That's what I heard last. Last I heard, our powers of overseas trade were given to the United Nations. Last I heard, the president was able to create not only Obamacare, but to rape and ravage every sector of government until it became an unfree nation, ready for the next regime to take in and simply take over. Why do you think that Common Core was as it is? Going back to education. Remember, Common Core doesn't even have any kind of legality behind it. If there's going to be a national law, it needs to go to the Congress in the first place, not bypass Congress. But second of all, if we're talking any kind of national education law, which is illegal anyway, because the Constitution doesn't even talk about education, but the Constitution does say what? Anything that the Constitution does not talk about is given, this right is reserved for the states. Okay, so we know education is reserved for the states, first of all. Okay, they made an illegal thing in the 1950s and 60s, whatever they call it, the Department of Education, the United States Department of Education, that's fine. Okay, so let's just sneeze at that and say, okay, that's fine. So they created this, and back in 1965, they created something called the Elementary and Secondary Education Act to help the less fortunate than us children, put them up to speed, whatnot. Okay, let's say that, 1965. And 1965 onward, every administration had to, again, sign that bill into power, because as we know, that bill itself was a sunset bill. Now remember, I talked to you about sunset laws last time. It was meaning that if I am a President Bush and I create a law, and it's a sunset law, well, I don't create the law, but I sign the law, Congress creates it, and it goes through the proper passages, and it's a sunset law. In other words, it's my administration that created it. That has to be, once again, reapproved, reauthorized with every rising next administration. That's the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which is legal anyway, because there should not be a Department of Education in the first place. But again, we're sneezing at that. So their illegality is bringing through this national law. Okay, at least it goes to the Congress, that's fine. So it was signed into law with the No Child Left Behind. Again, reauthorize it. And as we know, I talked a lot about that last time, so I'm not going to give you the whole 9 yards and details about that, but the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind was oh wait, we didn't have one. We didn't have one. We decided to not do anything, create a panic in the education system. This was the overthrow of government once again by Obama. Put a chokehold around the necks of every single district, telling them, we're not going to give you money unless you do what No Child Left Behind is, which is impossible to do, because it makes you go up 5% every single year from the previous test scores, which, as we know, is completely impossible, insane. So, by the time that got done, with no reauthorization, nobody's able to comply, plus it's no longer a real law, because Obama hasn't even reauthorized it yet. So what does Obama do? I explained this last time. He sets forth these waivers. And he says, sign these waivers, and you won't have to do anything with No Child Left Behind. But you will have to do this little thing called Common Core and give us all the power of education on your state. Now, where are we at today? Let me show you how incredibly sneaky, conniving this takeover of government was planned out. Because the reauthorization, I said last time when I was here, there's a window of opportunity, because once the reauthorization comes in again, it makes Common Core legal. Remember I said that? Some of you might remember. Well, that reauthorization happened. And did it happen in the middle of Obama's administration? No. Why would a president push forward a reauthorization that is going to sunset once he's out of office? Why would he do that the year prior to the year he's supposed to be out of office? That's unheard of. He waited his whole administration and then finally decides, okay, let's reauthorize the Elementary and Secondary Education Act now, in the end. Let's reauthorize that. So he did. So he sent it through to his puppet Congress, and his puppet Congress approved the Every Student Succeeds Act. That's where we're at. Now, of course, Hillary was supposed to come in, take over. Now we have a drone of new soldiers in our regime. They didn't expect this. They didn't expect this new window. It's done. Why would you do it at the end of your regime when, supposedly, no, of course you do. It's done. But now, here is the window of opportunity again. Now we're in limbo. Now every state is saying, well, where's the reauthorization? Because there is none. Trump is now working to create a new reauthorization when Congress doesn't want to help him, because they're all in bed with this dark should have happened already to take over our United States, and it didn't happen. So we are once again in limbo. Your children are once again in limbo. Now, what does this mean? It was incredible the way it happens, because it's not even my own principal, not the superintendent. Nobody understands what's going on. No, every student succeeds at. What is that? What does that mean to us? Isn't there Common Core? What's going on? Nobody understands what's going on. Here's what's going on with that. Towards the end, when the Every Student Succeeds Act was passed, end of Mr. Obama's reign, somebody decided to quit because of the pressure that you and I were putting on them. Arnie Duncan, Obama's pet, Secretary of Education, the one that signed all those letters of you don't have to follow the law, under supposed pressure, resigned. The Department of Education resigned as Secretary of the Department of Education before Obama's campaign ever ended, not a year before. So did all of his original secretaries. All of them, except one. So all his original picks patsied down. Now think about this. So beautiful. Such an evil plan. We should fight Common Core, right? Really? That's what they want you to do. Noriega's going to say something incredible now. I used to say fight Common Core. If you fight Common Core, you're a fool. Because Common Core does not exist anymore. It is a ghost. It is a cloud. It is an image. It is a fairy. Who are you going to blame? Because the patsy of Obama resigned. And with his resignation, the New York Times wrote a beautiful article about how he way overstepped his bounds. And he was one of the most straightforward but audacious ever Secretary of Education that just took power where it might have not belonged. So they blamed him. So he stepped down, and John King Jr. stepped in. And so who are you going to blame now? And now John King Jr. is gone because now we have Trump. So if you are after Common Core, like Trump is, Trump wants to take down Common Core, Trump wants to take down Obamacare, can't do it because of Congress. And Common Core can't do it because of Congress? No. Because supposedly, as is reported by the New York Times and the rest, your state adopted Common Core. So who are we to mess with your decision of your state? Supposedly your state is the one that implemented and set up and made this system that is your state system. So first of all, the president doesn't have a right to tell your state what to do. Because it was your state that did it. Your governor signed it. So how dare you say that the president has power to overthrow Common Core? He can. What is he going to impose? A federal national education system? You get what I'm saying here? You want to fight Common Core? That's what they want you to fight. Don't be a fool. Common Core does not exist anymore. It is an entity that is untouchable. And I warned you guys 2.5 years ago this would happen, didn't I? I said, there's a small window to defeat Common Core. That window is gone. Common Core does not exist. Who do you go after? Who broke the law? If there is a law, it's the Every Student Succeeds Act, and it basically says that Common Core is great because the states put it in. So there is nobody to blame. There is nobody to fire. You can't go after anybody because it doesn't exist. Many of my protégés, many of the people that I spoke to that started speaking against Common Core after I did, because I'm the one that researched it from the start. I was there at the prison here in California when they did the beta system on Common Core, on the adaptive AI system that they had for the inmates to test them. And if you're a little bit slower, then it's going to drop you to a lower test, etc. I'm the one that tested that system. I raised my hand. I wanted to be there. I wanted to see what this new regime was all about. I sent my student here, my beloved boy, as a test puppy to the test, that's the secret test, and had him sit down and with a camera film the test that he later came out of throwing up and curling up into a little ball. I'm not going to embarrass you, but you were very young back then, so it's been a couple years I can say it. So he curled up into a little ball and cried as if he'd been brainwashed after taking this test. It was incredible. This is the system that is Common Core. You can't fight it anymore. It is unfightable. It is a ghost. It is an entity that does not exist. And if you waste your time fighting it, you are wasting your time on a wrong subject. Wow, Mr. Noriega, don't make us feel so grim. What do? Here's my message. What do? The first thing we need to dismantle now, can anybody get it? Obamacare. It is the machine that drives this new government. It is what Common Core wanted to implement. You want a new educational system? It's not going to happen because Congress is fighting your president. What do now? The thing we all failed to do last time. We were too weak. Yes, it was a miracle of God that set this window of opportunity in. But we were too weak and too afraid to confront anyone. Because they look at us and they call you bigots. That's their new word, isn't it? And they say, how dare you impose your beliefs on us? And how dare you speak up? And everybody has a right here, and how dare you? And so you're too afraid. We were too afraid. But God gave us this opportunity to shine and to conquer as Christian soldiers. Don't be a weak, fraidy cat anymore. Stand up. And you do this. No need for guns, even though guns are fantastic. They're in the First Amendment, and it's going to come. If you fail at this, the country will be at war. Because as our founding father said, from time to time you have to sprinkle the tree of liberty with blood. And if you fail this time, it will come. So this is my calling to you. I'm not a prophet, I'm just somebody that steps back and sees the whole picture. I have a gift for this. And the thing that they hate, those infiltrated people, in every single department, even the ones that say that they're fighting for the good cause, and they're not. The thing that they hate is they can't find anything against me. They try, he's doing it for this, but they can't. And that's what they hate, because I come to you with the truth. So let us do that one thing we failed last time, because now we have an opportunity. Confront evil. Confront it and make the guilty parties pay. Make them be accountable. Make them be accountable to the crimes they have committed. They have broken the law. The principals, the superintendents, the governors that signed the Common Core into place when it is not their place to sign anything about education in the first place. And all the little factions where they gather together and they don't print the minutes that they're supposed to keep public, all these are broken laws, offensible to 1 to 20 years in prison, depending on the crime. You know what? Breaking a law against children is one of the biggest laws in this country. If you go against these law breakers, then you will get your country back. You must take them to court. You must take them before the judge. You must personally sue them. You must. Oh, you cannot talk against us because that's bigotry. You know what? That's freedom of speech. And I'm going to sue the whole entire Department of Education. How about that? Because let me tell you one thing with your fraidy catness, with our fraidy cat ways, and oh, maybe they're right, I'm pushing too hard. Are they afraid to speak? Are they afraid to speak? Are they afraid to indoctrinate your kids before your eyes and tell them what a horrible country this is and how our founding fathers were liars and bigots and cheaters, etc.? Only here, history class, by the way, only, this is in your new history books, California, only here to make a profit on tobacco and cheat their way to the top. So these are the people that are not afraid, that are telling you to hush it. Now, you know what they say about Trump? Let's impeach him. I'm not talking impeach him. But they say, well, we can't impeach him because he hasn't broken any laws. You know who has broken laws? They have. From Obama all the way down. Don't just say Obama, because that's just your scapegoat. He's gone. He's in Hawaii just like I was. So don't just say Obama, because he was happy to put out his latest book saying at the back of it, so excited to put it in your face, oh, Obama, born in, there it is, Africa, right? He put it in his own book. I wrote my book. Do you think I don't have control of what goes in the back of my cover? By the way? No, I'm serious. You don't think I have control over what goes in the back of my cover? Mr. Noriega, born in New York. I don't have control over that? Or I do? But you don't think Obama has control over what his back cover says? And if it says he was born in Africa, that's a mistake by the publisher? Okay, he's throwing it in our faces. He's throwing it in our faces. You don't think his brother coming out and saying to the news, hey, Mr. Obama was born here in our country. I have proof. I have a birth certificate. I mean, he's happy to throw it in our faces. He's happy. So you are sitting, I'm asking you to stand up, symbolically with me. Just do it so that you can feel it now, so you can do it then. Stand up with me. Stand up. That's right, stand up for freedom. Stand up for justice and be quiet no more. Do not waste this God-given opportunity you have, because it may be your last. Do not let this God-given opportunity you once are given for the very last time pass you by, Christian soldiers, because it comes from Him. Thank you for standing. Give yourselves an applause. Now, we live in dark days, and Mr. Obama, with his flare, shined in the faces of every American, declaring, with the symbol that should be in the Bible, really, with the symbol of the rainbow, as he flashed it across his White House in victory. And as he stood there and said, this is not a Christian nation, this is a nation of everyone. Now, is that true? The devil tells us half-truths have lies. Yeah, sure. Not a Christian nation. And as they tell your students in your classrooms, this is not a Christian, hey, and they make them feel so bad inside. So for even thinking that, can you take out a penny, please? Anybody take out a penny? Just give me a penny. Give me just one penny. Just a penny. Give me a penny. We're not a Christian nation. Thank you. What does Jesus did this, right? Jesus said, what does it say on this, right? And he said it's Caesar's face, right? Give unto Caesar's. Right? Remember that one? But what does it say in this money? In God we trust. Tell me this is not a Christian nation. Tell me this is not a Christian nation. Because you know what? This is a nation under our Lord, our God. And if it wasn't, then the God-given rights would not be allowed for Joe Blow to be an atheist, or Joe Blow to be a Muslim, or Joe Blow to be whatever he wants to be, a Jew or Gentile or whatever it is. You mean to tell me that if I go over to the Muslim country I can be Christian? Oh, and here's the other part, that all the gay promoting that they're doing in school, and oh, you're a bigot? You mean to tell me I can go over to, the Muslim country and be all very gay? They'll chop off my head. So what are the Democrats? Let's not call them Democrats. Let's not even call them, because it's a mixture now. It's all this robber group. But what are they doing defending the very cause that destroys even their own faction of let's all be lesbians and gays? Right? If anything, they should be saying, well, let's stop the borders, right? If anything, because, hey, in their laws, if you're a lesbian or you're homosexual, you need to be executed in the streets in front of everybody. So, how does that even work? It doesn't work. You see, this group, for lack of a better word, let's just call it what it is, this Satanistic group of liars, deceivers, and cheaters are not in the government in every section, even education, even finance, everywhere. In the White House, in the press, in every single establishment. They are not there because they want to take over. They are there because they hate America. And they want to destroy it. That's the goal. They want to destroy your kids in this education system that dumbs them down, makes them fools, makes them a mockery of the world. They want the rest of the world to spit in their faces. They want us to be weak. My son was just asking me this question over here because we were looking at facts, and my son was just asking, what do you mean the national, what we give to the military, the national section of our budget is 16% for military? Shouldn't it be most of our money? And I said, yeah, what did I say to you? Yes, it should. And this is one of the uproars that Obama had because he took it down to where it is now. Right? And you mean to tell me, Father, that education is the weakest sector of our whole system and only gets 3% of the budget? Here's an irony for you. With 3%, they took over your free government. 3%. Because you weren't looking at the education sector. You were looking at the military section or the anything, housing section or whatever. You were not looking at the education sector. Well, most of us have jobs in the daytime, and we might talk to our teachers for a second, but we don't realize what's happening with this takeover of our world. We don't realize. And so it comes in, sweeps us in, and passes us by. So where are we now in education? We are in limbo. But luckily, we are in limbo. We have a small window of opportunity. What do you do? I'm going to tell you once again, this is not about writing your congressman. This is not about telling your thoughts about, oh, how disappointed you are. This is about speaking up and keep speaking and start putting people to pay for their crimes. If there's no consequence, the snake slips out and does it again some other day. This is what happened, people. All the people that were paid off, all the people that were given their little payoffs, got away with it. They all broke the law. This is why we're here. So, you must seek for those people. Because if you break the law, are they going to give you a little pass of saying, just move on? No, they're not. They're looking for Trump to break the law. They're looking at, oh, he hasn't broken the law yet. They're waiting. But they have. You see, thieves, liars, cheats, and murderers, they're designed to break the law. They can't help it. So, well, how do I catch them? There's so many things that they've done. Pick one. Pick one and go. I'm serious. Pick one and go for it. My superintendent in Utah, when I was in Utah, was trying to stop this judicial thing from happening. He administrator of the whole university over there. And that was his payoff. Oh, yeah. I'm taking my school district, which is 12th in the nation. Is that good? The 12th in the nation out of all the hundreds of thousands of school districts, they're 12. So they need Common Core? No, supposedly Common Core was for the bad districts, right? What really? Anyway, he took Common Core and paid him off, and now he gets to be the super for the university, right? So everybody broke the law. Just pick a law and go after them. You don't have that kind of cash to be, hey, get 3 or 4 of you together, put a little pool, and sue somebody. You know, I'm not this person that says sue, but you know what? Your forefathers gave up even their lives for this. And we are generations after lulled into subconsciousness. Because I'm not even going to talk about sleep, it's subconsciousness. We need to fight with everything we have before it's too late. And they have to pick up the swords after us. We have to do it. This is my message for you today. This is where we're at. To understand the end from the beginning, you have to do a little research. You have to pay the price. Luckily, I wrote down a couple of notes in my book to explain to you the whole beginning of where Common Core started and all that stuff, which a lot of you have the copy of that book. But you have to know where we're at. Where are we now? And you have to know what to do. Speak up and put people to pay for their crimes, because these are not mistakes. These are crimes. These are crimes. My fellow patriots, I leave you with this. It has been a beautiful life. For me, it has been. I know it's been a beautiful life for you. We have enjoyed our liberties, our freedoms. We have enjoyed our time here on earth. We've been blessed with America. But your children, they are still small. They don't deserve the America that's coming to them. They don't deserve it. I know you've had a happy, if you die today, if I die today, I've had a happy America. I had a stressful couple of years with Mr. Obama, but I had a happy America. If I die today, I will thank my Maker. But he's not going to get that. Your kids are not going to get that. If you don't do. That's my message today. So I'll be in the back, I'll sign some things, you can ask more questions, make sure to come by. I appreciate your time here, thank you for having me. Goodbye.
Thank you, Mr.